great Bobby belt.
You ruined the morning show.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not. Over to you, Bobby.
For the first time since a devastating, embarrassing, whatever other descriptor you want to put on it, loss to the Green Bay Packers back in January, the Dallas Cowboys will take the field at AT&T Stadium tomorrow. And they'll do it against Jim Harbaugh. Maybe Jim Harbaugh can get in the ear of Mozzie Smith and Luke Schoonmaker a little bit and be like, hey, you're reflecting poorly on me. How about you guys fix this? Because this is making us look pretty bad. They do get the Chargers tomorrow, and what we're not sure of still to this point is the availability of Tyler Guyton, which would be way up the list for me of guys that I want to see perform in this game and be ready in this game, because he's going to need this work more than just about anybody. As we've talked about already, he is, to me, Mozzie Smith, the defensive version of Trey Lance right now. Like, I got to see it. I got to start seeing you
need
perform.
to see it from Mozzie, not Guyton.
No, not Guyton. But Guyton and Mozzie are the two that I want to see the most. Guyton being the guy who his availability is in question. But outside of Guyton, Mozzie and Guyton are right there as the two guys that I want to see the most perform in this game. Guyton is unavailable at the moment as they still work through the knee soreness, trying to figure out which way it's going. I think it's trending towards not playing, because I don't think the Cowboys, as much as they would like to get him some live game reps, want to put anything in jeopardy in terms of his availability for week one, given the depth issues that they have. I think we're looking at there's going to be another trade before week one where they acquire some sort of an offensive lineman, because they have way too many guards and not enough tackles. So does that look like a swap of a draft pick for a tackle? Does it look like you take some of these interior offensive linemen, which you have just a gluttony of? Do you take one of those and try to move it to somebody who's got better tackle depth but is looking for something on the interior? They could approach it a couple different ways. They could wait for cut down day. The problem that I think you're seeing right now is nobody cuts NFL offensive linemen. Yeah, you're not releasing an NFL offensive lineman at the end of the month. You are what you're going to do is you will try to
getting rid of pitching.
It is considered the thinnest position in the NFL by most talent evaluators. They don't believe. I was talking to a scout one time who said that in the NFL, offensive line is the one position in the entire league where they have more spots available within the NFL than they do people talented enough to fill them. Like that they feel like they have maybe 80% of what they need in terms of the actual available spots when you consider the depth that you have to have behind. Most teams struggle to go 5 deep. But if you go 5 deep, then after that you're talking about even a smaller handful that are able to go 7 or 8. And so the Cowboys have had some of that depth tested, specifically at tackle. So Tyler Guyton, I'd be surprised right now if they did play, or if he did play, but still something where if the knee soreness is not as big of a deal, if they want to really send that message, then they would go ahead and let him play. Mozzie Smith on the other side, again, another big part of that. Those two guys in the trenches. What are the biggest things that you need to see specifically, or that you want to see in this game? Are you just looking for health? Or are there guys you want answers on?
Health. I mean, receiver. You know, I think that is receiver the position that can fool you the most from training camp practices.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have one-on-ones, right? And I also am curious over this question, like, how many players really elevate their stock, not because of really just how good they are, but now they know what everyone in practice is doing in the fourth week. Do you know what I mean? Like, I may not be as – this is just a theory of mine. I may not be as good of a corner, but I know that you're going to run – I know the offense is going to run one of these two routes.
Sure.
I'm more familiar with the program or the script than me elevating my game or being that good. It's the familiarity that is allowing me to keep the plays, but if I'm thrown out there against someone new, someone random, that's just a theory that I've had of a camp that's like this long.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad one. I think
thanks.
No, like I'm saying,
I don't think it's idiotic. It's not the dumbest thing I've heard.
You know what I'm saying? You're saying it's just a theory. I'm saying I think there's credence to that. I've never asked that specific question to anybody before, but it would make sense to me.
Like, how many guys are just shining because, okay, like, they know what Jalen Cropper is going to do on this route because he's seen him every single day.
Sure, and I think that's why it's also...
Whereas in a game, I'm putting you out there against someone brand new.
Which is exactly what I was about to say. That's why somebody like Keeman Hall probably stands out to them, is that Keeman Hall does stuff in practice that then when they get into a game setting, it's, oh, here it is. And that's why when you get out of it, they want to see, all right, show me you can practice consistently. Show me you can make big plays here. That's huge. That is a big part of this. We like seeing that. But if you are a practice warrior, if you are showing up in practice and not carrying it into these preseason games, I have issues. And I have concerns about what you're able to do when you're outside of that structured setting. And so when you see that sort of transition, it definitely creates problems. You're 100% right that receivers have the biggest benefit of anybody in training camp to look good. Because when they get a one-on-one, let's say they're standing back at the 40-yard line, and you've got, including the end zone, 50 yards worth of turf in front of you. And you're lining up maybe inside the number, not all the way inside of the slot, but you're lining up inside of the number. That corner is standing there against a receiver with no information. I don't see a formation. I can't tell what kind of a play they want to run by the formation. We don't have a defense back here, an alignment that we're trying to disguise things or maybe tricking the quarterback into giving certain reads. I have no down or distance to be able to read what kind of throws they would have here. No safety help. And he has the entire width and length of the field, essentially, to run around and do whatever he wants on an untimed down until the ball is thrown. And so because of that, the corner is working at a massive disadvantage, which is why whenever you see, oh, look at Trayvon Diggs get cooked out here. To me, it stands out when they make a play. When a corner makes a play in that situation, I'm more just like floored at, wow, you were able to hang with that guy on a complete island, no help, no information in front of you. The receiver it's disappointing if they don't get separation a lot of times because of that. So, yeah, I think that being able to transfer that into the games, the receivers, it's important, and I don't know that they've consistently been able to do that yet. The running back room, still something that we're trying to settle here. Deuce Vaughn specifically is the biggest question, which I know earlier when we read John Machota's article talking about the 10 players that you should watch out here in this game, you felt like Deuce Vaughn was we're kind of over the Deuce Vaughn fascination at this point?
I'm not over. I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful. I'm a fan of Deuce Vaughn. I want it to work. I had a Tolo not happy with me. Probably you set me up probably unfairly because Dean Julia tweeted, listening back, I think you were a little unfair to Deuce. How many regular season carries did he really get where it wasn't a blowout and the other team knew they were running the clock out? Might be more interesting this year if they give him early opportunities. Well, I'm assuming after that preseason he did something to not get those regular season carries and work.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, so they wanted him to be involved. Like when we hear at the end of last season, Brian Schottenheimer approached him and said, let's start getting you some work with the receivers. Let's start having you run around with receivers. Let's find other things for you to do. When you are a running back that far back on the depth chart, you have to do other things. And the problem, I think, for them last year was they put him back there to be the backup punt returner, and he didn't show a lot of confidence in fielding punts. I think kickoffs have been a little different for him. That's something he did more consistently at Kansas State, but the punt returns were something where catching a punt backed up against the end zone, it seemed a little skittish about it. And I think because they couldn't justify having him involved in that part of the game, it was tough to justify having him active as well when they felt like, well, Malik Davis and Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard, they give us all these different things that they're able to do. Hunter Lipke can block or run or we can do these different things. Deuce is not going to be able to pass protect because of his size. He's not going to be able to frequently run between the tackles, and he's not going to be able to contribute in the punt return game. And so I think that ultimately is why he didn't get that kind of an opportunity. Now, I will say, I know
ability-wise, is he definitely last in the running back room?
No, because I think he does.
Give me the straight up pure running back ability in order. Just talent
overall across everything, including pass protection and things. I would say okay, no, just running the ball.
Just running the ball.
Okay, Dowdle, Zeke, Freeman, and then I might say Deuce over Malik Davis, but Malik Davis is just more well-rounded. And Deuce, the thing with Deuce, the reason why I was so encouraged by the preseason game is he showed something in his ability to kind of keep his legs churning, pick up extra yardage. You don't want to feel like you left anything, the old line Joseph Randall gave about DeMarco Murray. You don't want to leave meat on the bone. There's nothing more frustrating than when they feel like, man, this was blocked up for you. It's so hard in today's modern NFL to justify running the ball a number of times and running the ball in certain situations that when you leave yardage on the field, that makes it worse. Like, that makes it even tougher for us when we say, we give you this opportunity. It's not nearly as efficient in a lot of ways, and if you're not going to pick up every last bit of what we need, what are you doing for us?
By the way, listening to the Zeke segment to Open KMC yesterday, holy crap, was that fascinating. Sharif, you're a hater. He's going to be top 5 in the league in rushing yards. I was stunned driving home. I had to stay 10-2. I had to keep both hands on the wheel with some of the Cowboy homerism that is out there.
And I'm curious, let us know on the Franklin Frankel Injury Attorneys text line right now. I'm curious about this because I know.
Like, I had to take away Emmitt Smith's running back football card. Like, he's not allowed to talk about running backs anymore. And I have to do it with Tolo's as well after I took it from Emmitt.
What is it that you think Zeke's going to do this year if you're a listener right now?
Go ahead.
Text us your expectations. 877-881-1053. What kind of a player do you think he is right now, and what do you reasonably expect from him on the field this year?
And break it down for me like a scout. Like I had to do 3 or 4 years ago when I said, I'm not seeing – all right, I'll be broadest here.
Mm-hmm.
No elusiveness. No breakaway speed. I think his toughness works against him. Like every year he's dinged up, and I think Zeke is a tough SOB out there, but he's always dinged up. Second level, it's not happening. We're not getting any second level elusiveness or making guys miss. Not breakaway speed. The agility's not there. Goal line power, short yardage, I'm trusting him. So tell me why that scouting report is off.
No,
tell me why a 40 or 50-yard run is happening. I think Corey Majors, listening to Tolo, said one of those long runs or a 100-yard game has not happened in 2 years, something like that. Not an outstanding receiver. It's just, I mean, it is what it is.
You're getting a lot more support right here. 469, he ain't doing nothing. 325, going to have around 700 yards, maybe 6 touchdowns. 682, Zeke is going to
706. I mean, I'd probably sign up for that.
Yeah, but I guess I don't think that's
out of Zeke, not out of my number one spot.
He might be splitting that with you, like depending on what they end up doing. 817, Zeke will do nothing but score a couple touchdowns from 5 yards in. Good goal line work. That's about it. Third down back. What's ChatGPT thing? Yeah, I just had to ask ChatGPT. Give me Zeke's stats. They think you're dead wrong about Ezekiel Elliott. ChatGPT does.
What'd they say?
They say you got a couple factors to consider. The role in the offense. Zeke's likely to be a key factor with Tony Pollard being gone.
Oh, that's true.
Offensive line. Cowboys' offensive line, while experienced, has some changes, including Tyler Guyton.
Wow.
Effectiveness of the line matters. Competition.
Dude, we should fire Broadus. ChatGPT knows it just as much as him.
If they're right about this is going to concern everybody. Rushing attempts, they project 250 to 280 for Zeke Elliott. Yards, 950 to 1150. 10 to 12 rushing touchdowns, 25 to 35 catches, 150 to 250 receiving yards, and 1 to 2 touchdowns. So, Sean, you're talking about you might get 1,400 scrimmage yards and 14 touchdowns out of Zeke Elliott if this is right. ChatGPT.
I like it, Poppy.
Below the belt here on your home of the Cowboys. Cowboys-Chargers, final preseason game tomorrow on this radio station.